Now, looks like we're live, so welcome to Gamecast for Friday evening. Folks, are here to talk about election integrity, the election denier myth, and the strange case of Liz Cheney, who today, by the way, just in case you think it's Trump, it's not. She came out today and she endorsed Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz out there has an opponent, and she is endorsing him. She's nothing more than a deep state hack and a Democrat. Before we get to Liz, let's just explain what's going on here. The Democrat Party, after 2016, had a fight between the fascist left and the New Deal left. And the New Deal left is over. They're done. The fascist left now runs the party. Well, the Republican Party had a similar battle in 2016. Trump won, and it is now the party of the working class, including the minority working class, Hispanics, blacks, others. And that's what's going on here. Simple as that. And Liz Cheney is on the short end of the stick of that fight where the Republican Party is now the party of the working class, and she's bitter, and she's angry, and she's got a way to make money. Okay? So that's basically that. But this all wraps up together because she's out here at Duke, and not only is she endorsing the opponents of Republicans out there, okay, just normal Republicans, but she's out there talking about election deniers. Now, folks, election deniers is deep grade, intelligence grade propaganda. There's no such thing as an election denier. Nobody denied an election happened. We all understand that on a Tuesday in November in odd years, right, depending on which race you're talking about, we have an election. Now, some of us happen to think that the election did not go properly. That doesn't mean that we're election deniers, right? But they always use words. They're always way better at using words than we are. So they come up with these terms, right? And I'm also going to cover in a moment election integrity. So let's first go with the election denier. Basically, an election denier to them is anyone that questions an election, which is the most American thing to do. Anyway, take it away there, Liz.
We have to defeat election deniers. It's not just Donald Trump, it's election deniers. Here in North Carolina, that means defeating the Republican candidate for governor. It means
Republican candidate for governor. Apparently, he's a denier.
It means defeating the Republican candidate for the superintendent of public instruction.
Just down the line, she's just anti-Republicans.
But we, as a nation, as a republic, we can't elect people who will only certify elections that they agree with the result.
Now, folks, that's not what's going on. Nobody believes that, and she's just lying, okay? So let's get to, when we talk about Mark Elias, by the way, here's the proof that Liz Cheney has endorsed Colin Allred, who's Ted Cruz's opponent in TAS. Here's a couple from Mark Elias. I use Mark Elias a lot because he's a former, and I think he's actually been retained again, but he's a Democrat lawyer, worked on Mueller's team. He's the author of the Steele dossier, worked for Hillary Clinton, was her jury counsel. He's one of the attack dogs who comes up with the election denier. So we're going to go through two cases where we had election integrity. So what happened is, after 2020, a bunch of states, North Carolina, Montana, in this case we got North Carolina, we'll cover Montana in a minute, they came up with things they wanted to do to protect elections. And so one of the problems that we have when North Carolina has realized is, you have all these mail-in ballots, got to have them a reason to keep them secure. So Mark Elias sued North Carolina because what was North Carolina's claim? What was their election denialism? What was their problem? Well, they argued that the state board of North Carolina, which in this case is a bunch of Democrats, right, because they're appointed by the governor who's a Democrat, they said, oh, well, you should still count a ballot if it's absentee and it's not signed on the outside. And so the Republicans sued and said, you can't do that. The only reason we allow you to have this special privilege of voting by mail is if we have these things where we have outside ballots that are signed. And the Democrats go, oh, that's an election denier. That's an election denier. There's something wrong with that. No, if you don't go in person, you have to follow these procedures. And then when you don't follow the procedures that you use to get it through the legislature, they attack them. He did the same thing in Montana, and I'm going to be fair. I like to be fair. Those of you who follow my podcast for a while know this. So here it is. The Ninth Circuit blocked Montana's law. Here's Montana's law. Now, I agree with the block here, okay? In this case, Montana had a lawsuit, and I think they had a law, I think it's well-intentioned but wrong. And the law provided that you could not purposely remain registered in another jurisdiction, and they imposed criminal sanctions if you did. That's where I think the problem is, folks. I've been registered and moved. In fact, I never, for example, when I switched my residence from Florida from Georgia to Florida and then back to Georgia. I just registered in Georgia. I never contacted Florida to tell them, hey, I'm never coming back. I'm not doing this. I don't know if I'm still on the voter rolls or not. Now, obviously, I've not voted in both states. I've only voted in the state I am living in. But to put a penalty on me because I don't reach out to Florida or do something, or, you know how it is to get with these bureaucrats. So I think in this instance, Elias is right. But where he's wrong is to call this election denialism or suppression of the vote. The intention is just to make sure that if you register in Montana, you do what you can, right, to not purposely be registered in both places. Why? Because if your ballot is still floating around out there in another state, it might be used. And before I go, I'm going to wrap. That's basically it, folks. If you like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you do, or a couple of housekeeping notes, I'm going to try to do these daily. And then I've got a big election one I'm doing, but I'm not going to be able to put it up on all platforms. So you're going to want to subscribe on Rumble and Twitter for sure. Anyway, if you like this, I'll see you on the next one.